Hilchos Tshuva Perek Yud Halacha Vov. Final halacha in Hilchos Tshuva. The Rambam starts off Dovi Yadu Bora. It is something that's known and clear. She'ein Ahavas HaKadosh Baruch Hu Niksheres B'livi Shel Odom. That the love of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not tied to the heart of a person until he uses here the language he has used before, which the Raiva didn't know what it meant. Ache Yishge Botomit. Now we'll go down to the Peirush. Until he will be continuously occupied with it, and he will leave everything in this world except for that, out of his love for Hashem. Nothing will bother him at all. As the Kodesh Baruch commanded, as it says, "V'ahavtas Hashem lekecha b'chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha." He doesn't bring this posuk in its completeness. Maybe he means to other psukim which are stated like Ba'at Yisrael Hashem Alekecha Shem Yimoch Kim Niyos Hashem Alekecha, because it says La B'chol Zorochav La B'Oisei La B'Is Hashem Alekecha B'chol Lavav B'chol Nafshecha. It says it in there as well. In Devarim 26:16 it says also, and you shall watch and do all of it B'chol Lavav B'chol Nafshecha, because even by Avodas Hashem it has to be with all of his heart and all of his soul. Only in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, not in anything else. How do you get to Avas Hashem? Einoi oyev HaKadosh Baruch Hu ela b'daito shiyadeyu, b'das shiyadeyu. He loves HaKadosh Baruch Hu only with the knowledge to understand him. Al pi hadas tiyavoso. According to his knowledge, he's able to have that love. Imat mat. If it's not very great, his intellect and his understanding, there's a small love. Vim halbe halbe. If it's a large amount, a lot. And therefore a person has to set himself aside as an objective, to comprehend and to understand, with the wisdom and the comprehension which make aware to him as creator, according to the strength that there is in a person, to understand and comprehend, as we said in Hilchos Tshuva, Perek Beis, Halacha Beis, Perek Dal, Halacha Yud Beis. And how does one get to the point of loving him and fearing him? When a person will look into the deeds and the creations of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right away he loves him, and he praises him, and he glorifies him, and he has this overwhelming desire to know Hashem HaGadol. And when a person looks into these things and he sees all that's created, such as angels and Galgal, etc., and he'll see the great wisdom of HaKadosh Baruch Hu in everything that's created and everything that's done, that adds love to Hashem, and his soul and his flesh will desire to serve Hashem, to love HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the commandment of love, that he wants to love Hashem with his entire being, his heart and his soul. This is according to how much he can comprehend and recognize the greatness of Hashem. Because if he only knows him, he can only comprehend a bit, then his love too will be a small amount. And if it's greater, his knowledge, then it's greater. Where's the source of what the Rambam states here? And we find it in the Rambam himself, the mitzvah say Gimel. That this is a mitzvah that Kodesh Baruch Hu commanded us to love Hashem. And the Rambam asks, how can it be commanded to love something? Love is something which is in the heart, and one cannot command the heart, love this. And he answers that we are commanded that we should look into and understand his mitzvahs and his actions until we will attain and we will enjoy his comprehension. Say our mitzvahs he adds, mitzvah yisov, his commandments, not only his actions. You can comprehend Hashem through his commandments, not only his actions. And he brings down from the Sifri, because it says, "V'ahavta Hashem alekecho," you should love Hashem. I do not know how to love Hashem. So it says, then the Peirush of Kriya Shema goes on to say you should love Hashem with all your heart. These things which I command you, zu his boinus v'askola b'mitzvoso. This is contemplation and intellectually understanding his commandments. And we'll turn the page, which bring him to recognize he who said the 10 statements and the world was created. Now, we have already explained that through insight, then he will come to these comprehensions. Understanding the Creator will be something which is a truth, and the enjoyment will come together with the love, and this is automatic. That's why it says that he's commanded, you have to do those actions which will bring you to comprehend Hashem, and then your desire to love Hashem will be automatic. Save our mitzvahs, he says further, know that everything that Kodesh Baruch Hu commanded, they are in 4 things: in knowledge, in action, in attributes, and in speech. This is that he commanded us to believe certain concepts, just like we are commanded to believe in the oneness of Hashem and the love of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and his fear. Thus we see that the mitzvah is divided into 4 parts. There's a part of the mitzvah which is associated with a person's intellect. There's a part that's associated with his actions, like bringing a korban. There are things that have to do with his attributes. As it says, you should love Hashem, your friend, so too, which that means, how do you love someone else like yourself? Because you love what he is, what his existence is. And then there's a mitzvah of speech. He didn't say that Avos Hashem is from the mitzvahs that has to do with attributes like because Ahavas is a mitzvah atluya b'das. Ahavos Hashem is a mitzvah which is associated with thought. And that, what he told us, he commanded us to believe one concept, that's Yichud Hashem, which encompasses within it the uniqueness of Hashem, the love and the fear of him. And his intent is here, according to the way he can comprehend Hashem and recognize his creator, so too he will love Hashem. So even though the mitzvah itself is comprised of 4 parts, but the only way you can come to the attainment of the Avos Hashem is through the das, through knowing Hashem. And that's what we're commanded to do. You should love Hashem to understand Him. Once you love Him and understand Him, then the accomplishment of Ahavas Hashem will come through these four aspects. In the Moreh Nevuchim, he divides the mitzvah to 14 klolim. All the mitzvahs are divided up into 14 different sections. The first one includes within it those mitzvahs which are rooted in intellect. As we said in Hilchos Tshuva, and chapter 36, he says, "HaMitzvah shekol oison haklal harishon," the mitzvahs which are included in this first concept of Heim Adeus Asher Ziparnu Ba'Hilchos Tshuva. All of them are clear. Look into them, each one individually, and you will find the truthfulness behind it. And everything that comes from the commandment to go ahead and do this, little more allow me to study it and to teach it, will shows the toilet, shows the outcome that will happen from it. Thus we see that what he explained in Hilchos Torah has to do with mitzvahs, which has to do with intellect. It happens through the knowledge that there is Hashem, and that's what he means here as well. Even though there are four aspects of showing that love. Now, Ahavas Hashem causes a person to be in a state of shiur. The Rae objects, and he says, Omar Avram. When Rambam says, Yishge Botomid, he should have this word Yishge. So what does it mean? Hashigoyin Zelo Yedan La'izadova Kiven. Here, Rae is talking about the Shegayon, which we mentioned earlier in Perek Yud, Halacha Gimel, that he doesn't know what it means. And we explain it in two ways. It doesn't mean to explain the Loshen Rambam, but he wants to translate what Yishge usually means. As we find in Mishlei, Ba'avosai Tishge Tomid, in his love he continuously desires. The Rae says Tishge can be explained in two understandings. Loshen shiur, that he's continuously songful with song, Kamoshi Goyen LeDavid, like we find that a psalm to David is called a psalm, which is a song to David, is referred to as Shigoyen, and the V'inyan Acher Ba'avu Avoso Tishge V'inyonecho, that out of his love he will make a mistake, because love causes a person to be blind, as we say. Shelo Yosim Aleim Lev, he will not notice other things. The Kesef Mishnah explains the Divrei Aravet. What does it mean that he sings? That he will be happy in the Ahavas Hashem, like a person who's happy in song. When he sings, he's happy. The Sefer Haredim explains a person who desires something out of love sings, and therefore the love of our Creator is greater than the love that a person has in this world for women. And he loves Hashem with a complete heart. He will sing just as Moshe and Bnei Yisrael did by the Yam, and Miriam and Dvorah. In fact, this, in a sense, justifies the idea why the Malachim didn't sing at that point, because it wasn't for the Nes Hatzolah, it was a Nes of love for Hashem. One can even say in Rosh Hashanah, when we don't have Hallel, the shiur that we do on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, where it says Alarina of Alat Tfilo, is talking about that idea that knowing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is king brings this forth. There it says, therefore it says, Ba'avosei Tishge Tomid. The Rae explains it as a concept of singing, like by David HaMelech, out of his strength and his desire for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Rishonim and the Achronim sang before him, And the Charedim writes Rabbi Yehuda Halevi with many of his famous Piyutim, Rabbi Yehuda Achosin, Rabbi Avon Ben Ezra, and others, that they made song for Hashem. This is in a sense a justification for why Chassidim use psukim to sing to Hashem. If we can't make the words, at least we can sing the notes. So we see the Lashon HaCharedim. We're talking about a love that has a desire with it. Somebody who desires something sings. That's the Kavanas Haravid. Thus, we see from the Ravid that he wants to add what the Rambam seems to be saying is that a person should love HaKadosh Baruch Hu even more so than any temporal love. Like David HaMelech, when Yonasan was killed by the Pelishtim, bewailed Yonasan that our love for each other is greater, or your love to me was greater than the love of women. What does that mean? It's an elevated love. So too, the love that one serves Hashem is greater than any other type of love. And therefore, just like someone who desires something sings, so too someone who loves his creator sings. That's why it says tishge, meaning meloshin shiur, from song. Like Rabbeinu Bechai says in Sefer Kara Kemach, after he explains the obligation of a person to love Hashem, he says, this is so great. But what's even greater than the love is the desire of the love. It's one step above it. How strong can the love of Hashem be? The second Peirush of the Ravid, which tells us Tishge, that one overlooks things out of love, is brought in Rashi and Mishlei on Tishge as well. One in the name of Moshe HaDarshan, who explains in Aramaic should be occupied. Rashi adds, where does Moshe HaDarshan find that this is the meaning of Tishge? Secondly, in the name of his teachers, Mashge, meaning that because of his love, he will become mistaken with other items, because it has its own existence. By the Vaditcheva, when it came to taking his esrog out of the china closet, when the moment came to take it, he couldn't wait, and he put his hands right through the glass. That's called tishge, out of the love of the mitzvah. Concept of not noticing other things, like the Ravid says. This is the second Peirush of the Ravid. And Rashi brings an Erevin. He said about Rabbi Elazar ben Pados, when he was Derish in the marketplace, he with the lower marketplace, and he left his garment up in the upper marketplace. Therefore, because he was so involved with Torah, he forgot it there, and it stayed there in the upper marketplace. Once a person came and wanted to take that nice-looking jacket, and he found a nochosh, a snake, coiled underneath it, ready to bite, to teach us that the Torah watches over itself, over those who watch Torah. Then if he's doing it out of love, even though technically he should have forgotten it, it shouldn't have come back to him, he should have lost it, still HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes sure it gets to the person. HaKadosh is B'nai Maimon, and the Yerushalmi says that what Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish forgot out of his delving so deeply into Torah, he went out of the Tchum on Shabbos, that this too is Ba'avosei Tishgim Tomid. He made a shoygig in the Rabbanon. He went beyond the Tum Shabbos of the Rabbanon because out of his love of Torah. And the Migdal Oiz explains that this is the main explanation of what the Rambam is referring to, and it's correct and beautiful. Seder Mishnah in Halacha Gimel explains that the Rambam interprets Tishge, be involved with it always. And he asks, why didn't the Ravid Why wasn't he Masi? Why didn't he object in Halacha Gimel, where we learned it before, and where we mentioned it, as just like he does so here, Tishge, there, and he doesn't answer. Meister Rakiach wants to say that in Halacha Gimel, he had a different text. He didn't have a Gimel there, but a Shoiga. Not Shoiga, Tishge, but rather Shoina, studying it continuously. Therefore, he had no reason to do so. And the Rama Mipano says it should really say Shoiga there as well. Let us end Hilchos Tshuva with the words of the Kesef Mishnah, where we have it here at the beginning on the first page. We'll go back to the last page. The Kesef Mishnah says, Hashem Yisborach should give our portion for those who love Hashem. Amen. Kei Rotzen. That we all do Tshuva properly. Zero to the Gula Shleim Amen.